Good afternoon, guys. This is Black and Indigenous American. As usual, I hope all is well with you. Hope you're doing well, your loved ones are doing well, and everything is just great. Okay, so this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about, not that I know everything about what I'm about to say. I'm actually learning, I'm thinking out loud, and I wanted just to share this video, live stream video with you guys while I'm discerning through some of these topics. And one thing that I was thinking about was DNA, because you know how I posted videos about my DNA results and my opinions about DNA and how to figure it all out, right? Then I came across this topic about junk DNA. And I was like, junk DNA? What is that? And apparently, based on what I've learned about regular DNA tests, the results that come back are pretty much the outskirts of a triangle. Mother, 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 father, 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 all the way back as far as they can go back, as far as DNA. But then everything in the middle of the triangle tends to be overlooked, right? And many people, they're confused because whatever they've been told and believe and what have you about their family tree, about their genetic makeup is not showing up on the results. But anyway, that middle part of that triangle that I keep telling you guys about, that's considered junk DNA in some circles. And so when I was reading a little bit about this junk DNA and what that all means, some people believe that we have more than 2 chromosomes. And maybe we have up to 12 strands of DNA, which is considered junk DNA. And some people believe it's more on a spiritual level or whatever. So I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure out what it all means. I'm actually looking at this website called Gaia, Gaia. They have an article that's called DNA Activation Techniques to Positively Change Your Vibration. And I was just kind of glancing through, kind of speed reading right now. Let's see. Though our DNA contains such large amounts of data, the majority of it is considered extraneous by geneticists who regularly study it. Some refer to this 97% of DNA as non-functioning or junk DNA, pretty much what's not showing up. Then they're kind of suggesting in this article, it says, what if this data isn't junk, but actually encoded with information whose function has yet to be discovered? And what if there are more than 2 strands of DNA, but instead up to 12 potential strands lying dormant in a subtle energy spectrum? Wouldn't you want to activate them? And so, of course, I'm intrigued, right? Because that's just me. I like to research. And I'm kind of like glancing through and things of that nature. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I need to learn more about this junk DNA, the DNA that's not showing up on typical DNA tests, to find out what your genetic makeup is or whatever. And a lot of that's not showing up is considered junk DNA. And actually, from what I'm reading and what I'm gathering, that junk DNA is our gateway to reach our highest potential. For instance, through affirmations, positive thinking. I'm kind of thinking of law of attraction right now. meditation and things of that nature, that part of your DNA will be activated. This is what I'm kind of coming across. This junk DNA, which is considered spiritual DNA. Also, you know, our ancestors are within us, right? Our ancestors live through us, their spirit and everything like that, because however many ancestors we have, right, from the beginning of time up until now is insane. And so we have a piece of each ancestor that's with us. Their blood is in us. And so, like I said before, guys, everything is not going to be written down. And some things that you seek, some information you seek, you're going to have to tap into it spiritually to figure it out. To figure out who you are, what you are, where your ancestors come from, and etc. and etc. and etc. So anyway, I kind of wanted to just touch on that a little bit, because I'm no expert in this. I'm just looking at this. I'm researching it. I just wanted to share this thinking out loud moment with you guys. But something to think about, though, junk DNA versus the DNA results that we get whenever we get these $200 DNA tests. So just think about that. The DNA that we really care about, we have yet to tap into, because it's not written down. It's within. It's, how should I put this? It's unseen. And you know what? That is definitely our secret weapon, right? Yes, it's frustrating when you're trying to find that piece of paper so you can carry it around in your family tree album or whatever. But just knowing that whatever's not written down is actually more relevant than what's actually been written down. And even though you have some ancient sites that have carvings and things of that nature, and that's relevant, obviously, but there's so much that's not written down, and it's unseen, yet so powerful. In order to gain access to that information, you have to go within, and you have to go within that spiritual realm to get the answers. You know how they say certain people, you know, you can tell them anything, they'll believe it because they don't read. They don't read books, you know. The answers are written in books or what have you, whatever. And to a certain extent, to a certain point, I get it. Because many of us want a quick answer. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Give me what I need. I don't have time to sit down and read a book for 3 weeks. But all the answers are not written down. They're just not. Another thing that I wanted to talk about that I'm just learning about, and I'm sure you guys are starting to hear about it now, is the real ID that many people, if not all of us, are going to have come October 2020. I think it's October the 1st, 2020. And initially, I didn't think nothing of it, because I'm like, well, I mean, I'm going to have to get a new passport. So that's something I'm going to have to get anyway next year. I just got a driver's license where I live now. So I figured, okay, well, I guess the real ID is for people who maybe their IDs have expired. Maybe they have a green card or a working visa or something, and they have to provide more a concrete form of ID. So that's what I initially was thinking, but apparently this is across the board. This is across the board in the United States. Again, it's called a real ID. It will be in effect October 1st, 2020. And everybody apparently has to get this real ID. The regular driver's license is not going to cut it anymore. If your passport is legit now, I guess the passport is going to continue to be legit, but you still have to have this real ID. And so I'm sitting here thinking, what is this all about? Because apparently there's always a conspiracy out there about something, right? And I kind of want to be able to decipher or discern between a lot of the hocus pocus smoke a lot of these conspiracy theorists have and what's actually like legit conspiracy. And so I came across some information and I'm still trying to figure it all out. But one thing is claiming your nationality. Now, as US citizens, we've been conditioned and taught that in order to be a United States citizen, initially you need to be a born citizen, born here on this land, right? And then if you were not born here, then you have to go through the process and the paperwork and all of that to become a citizen. And apparently for some demographics, it's more tedious than others, if you know what I mean. If you do have a working visa, you know, once that visa's up, some people are living in this country technically illegally, based on US laws. But no one's really paying attention to the people that are living here illegally. They're so fixated on people of color, in particular brown people, in particular Mexico, because apparently they have this target on Mexico apparently. And so people tend to not pay too much attention to people that come here for work visas and they don't ever go back to wherever they come from. They just stay here, right? But they're not necessarily a threat, I guess, because they haven't committed any crimes. They pretty much stayed on the radar, what have you. And so they get a pass, apparently. So I initially thought this real ID thing was for populations that I just mentioned, you know. And so that's definitely not the case. And what I'm learning is that this real ID is something not only for us to travel internationally or domestically or to enter secure government buildings, but almost like Big Brother, where we're not necessarily having a chip in the back of our neck type situation. But this is a form of, I believe, Big Brother, where we can be anywhere, wherever there's cameras or what have you, and we're identified. I'm assuming this may possibly cut down on some of the paperwork that we all have to fill out, applications and stuff, as far as our ID, our identification and all that. So I'm thinking that's what, at least publicly, they want us to know, that this is supposed to help them keep track of who's actually citizen versus everybody else, you know. That's what they want us to believe. Maybe there is a smidgen of truth in that. I don't know. But then back to the claiming your nationality. I was born here. I was born in Virginia, Southern Virginia. I'm a Virginian, born and raised. But then some people are like, well, you need to claim your nationality that's not in this country. And I was like, what? So I know here, if people want to become a citizen, they got to go through all this paperwork. They have to be in here in person and all of this. And they have to, take this citizenship test, which I took in high school, by the way, and it's not easy at all. And I'm sure it's gotten harder over the past X amount of decades. That's all I'm going to say. But those questions are not easy, and most U.S. citizens don't even know the answers to those questions. Most of the questions, they're not easy. But then someone was saying, and I don't know how credible this individual is. That's why I'm not really going to talk about who said what, because I don't know. I'm still learning. But apparently, you can claim nationality, dual citizenship somewhere else, and still keep your citizenship here, obviously, as long as it's a foreign nationality. And I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that concept. Hi, Bam, the super predator. Hi, how are you? Thanks for watching. So anyway, this individual that was kind of explaining how this real ID thing worked and claim your nationality and things of that nature. And I'm like, well, obviously, as you can tell, guys, my username is called Black and Indigenous American, right? My roots, as far as the Americas, is Indigenous American. Indigenous American. My African roots, I guess you could say indigenous to the continent of Africa, based on my regular DNA test, I had a strong connection to the Fulani people in Guinea-Bissau. Now, my thing is, can I just magically become a citizen of Guinea-Bissau because I have a genetic connection to them? Like, do I have to prove anything? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have a culture connection there. I wasn't born there. I've never been there. Like, as far east I've been outside of this country is Bermuda. And that was it. That was the only area in the entire world that I've been to that's outside of this country. And I'm working on it. I'm working on getting out of this country a little bit more often than I have. But yeah, I went to Bermuda twice via cruise ship. And so, I mean, how does that work? And again, here, you have to fill out all this paperwork and jump through hoops or whatever to become a citizen, to have a citizenship here or whatever. So people are saying, yeah, it's a good idea to have dual citizenship because apparently when October 1st, 2020 gets here and you have this real idea, whatever, blah, 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 then whatever you identify yourself as or claim your nationality as, then it's set in stone. And again, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how that's supposed to work. Because my indigenous roots in the Western Hemisphere is American, Native American, Indigenous American, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Via the diaspora, we got West Africa. And my strong DNA connection via the website that I went on, and I got my DNA test and they did the whole spit sample and everything. Cabo Verde, which is Cape Verdean Islands off the west of western coast of Africa. So it's African, it's islands, African islands. And then, like I said, Guinea-Bissau. That region is where I have a really strong African connection, sub-Saharan Black African connection, okay? So do I supposed to say, oh, I'm Cape Verdean? My nationality is Cape Verdean? Like really, how does that work? To claim a nationality as far as dual citizenship. Apparently someone also mentioned to have a article or trust. How did he put that? File a trust. And as far as file a trust for your family, whatever, in the records, like the land records or whatever county that you live in, and claim on a record your nationality before this whole October the 1st, 2020 thing. Now, this is also happening around the same time as the 2020 census. Now, apparently, we all experienced that 10 years ago, where we can self-identify, which is a big deal. And so I self-identify as my tribal affiliation and Black, okay? Then some people was like, well, one thing about things like that, yes, you reference your tribal identity and all of that, but as soon as you put Black in it, apparently they cancel out everything. And here it is, we're in the 21st century and they're still doing that, but they cancel out everything and they just put Black. So my thing is, it's like, okay, I've said this before in a recent video, maybe a month or two ago. I'm like, I don't like not identifying on paper my African connection. I don't like that. However, if I want my Indigenous American connection to have any kind of acknowledgement, then apparently I'm being told to just put that down on the 2020 census. And the reason why I mentioned 2020 census, because I'm like, okay, is it going to somewhat be the same with this whole real ID thing? Like, do I literally have to show paperwork that I am a citizen or I have dual citizenship somewhere else? So for anyone out there that's watching this video or will eventually watch this video after it's no longer live, and if you know what's up, you know, you can send me a message or something like that so I can understand more about this whole real ID thing and claiming your nationality and all of that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the Declaration of Human Rights. And that is another thing this individual had mentioned, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There's 30 of them. And in my opinion, the way my brain is kind of wired in my heart, all of this is common sense. You treat people the way you want to be treated, right? But there's two articles that really stood out. And one is Article 14. So it says, Article 14, if someone hurts you, you have the right to go to another country and ask it to protect you. You lose this right if you have killed someone and if you yourself do not respect what is written here. The first thing that comes to mind are refugees. The first thing that comes to mind are people who are coming from the south of the border, trying to find refuge. And if obviously their right to go to another country, which happen to be the United States of America, they've been blocked. And if they haven't been blocked, unfortunately, a lot of them have been victims of human trafficking. It's happening, y'all. It's happening. So all these kids missing, or the parents can't find the kids. Unfortunately, many of those children have become victims, not only of the pain and suffering that their people were running from, but they just walked into the lion's den. And you have predators just waiting for them to cross that border. And it's like they're lame ducks. And my heart goes out to them. But yes, this human trafficking thing, it is real. And so you have people fleeing to a country where they see people that they can relate to, even maybe family members or whoever that ran to this country or flew to this country or however way they came to this country for a better life. So it's not like they had no clue that this country has its problems. But what they're seeing is the hope. They know that there are people from their country that escaped, went to the United States of America, and they're a whole lot better than they were. So those people want the same slice of hope. And so Article 14, obviously, for many people has been violated. It has. Article 15, this is another article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that caught my attention. It's, you have the right to belong to a country and nobody can prevent you without a good reason from belonging to another country if you wish. So I guess dual citizenship or whatever like that. And again, this Article 15, claiming your nationality, how does that work? I'm going to read the comments now. Bam, the super predator says, are these genetic markers genealogical connections? All humans have common genetic markers. That's a good question. I'm not sure if I understand it though. And I'm not sure if I have the answer. If you do clarify what you're asking, I don't know if I have the answer to that question. Bam also says, get in touch with Phoenix, Moon, and Two Hawks. They give sound insight into the national ID, identity, etc. Would they happen to be Moors? Because I actually did a quick YouTube search on claiming your nationality on right before this video, before going live, and I saw a lot of videos, like the first couple of pages of YouTube videos, and they were Moors, M-O-O-R, talking about it. And I'm not familiar with Moors. I don't know much about how that all works. And again, I choose to recognize not only my Black sub-Saharan African connection, but also my Indigenous American connection. And that Indigenous American connection, unfortunately, has been put on the back burner for so many generations, not just in my family, but a lot of families in this country. And so to do right by my ancestors that are from this land, I want to make sure that I acknowledge them, regardless of what the federal government has to say about it, regardless of state government and local government, regardless of the tribal police out there who are so afraid that people are going to wake up and claim their identity, their true identity. Yeah, I'm just, like I said, if I could do a dual citizenship, and it's a lot easier than, let's say, me not being a U.S. citizen, trying to be a U.S. citizen, you know, and I don't have to go to that country, and I can just fill out a piece of paper on the computer. And based on my genetic DNA results, the little snapshot that I did receive, The strong connection is Cape Verdean Islands. As far as Africa, Cape Verdean Islands and Guinea-Bissau. Those are the top two. And as far as tribally, it's Fulani. And Fulani people are very nomadic and they kind of moved around and whatever. But yeah, so Fulani was a strong connection. So we shall see. Let's see. Bam says, and Tasha, is it Zai? I've been watching some of her videos. Also, I follow her on Facebook. And I'm not completely on board with some of the things that she talks about. But I'm listening and I'm watching. She just got on the scene as far as YouTube maybe 3 years ago. So she's fairly new on the social media YouTube scene, unless she had another YouTube channel and I had no clue about it. So she's still fairly new on the social platform. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, I did see that she and some other people were promoting something in October in Virginia. And let me find what I'm looking for. And then I'm gonna move on from Tasha. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm looking at this right. Let's see. Okay, let me look at my text message. Because one thing about me and one of my good friends, well, she's like my soul sister. We either text each other or we do Facebook Messenger. So I got to look at the text because I think what I'm looking for is in the text message. So let me see. Oh, by the way, I'm going to see Jill Scott tomorrow. So I'm excited. And it's a 4-day weekend. Hey. Okay. So anyway, I came across this event. It's called Indigenous and Indian Council Summit. It's Saturday, October the 19th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's in, looks like Eastville, Virginia. I've never heard of this area of Virginia. And guest speaker, Gabrielle Rich. Guest speaker, Carrie Davis. And it says, don't miss the natural Pocahontas, Tasha Zai, Beauty Plus Brains. It's $20 to get in. And persons 12, let me see, kids get in free. Let's see, $20 per person over 12 at the gate. If you pre-register, then it's free. So I don't know, Bam, if you're familiar with this event. Again, it's called Indigenous Indian Council Summit. The comment that threw me off that says, don't miss the natural Pocahontas explanation point. I'm like, is she really referring to herself as natural Pocahontas? Yeah, I don't know. So like I said, I don't know much about Tasha and who she rolled with. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know, but I am observing and I'm kind of watching, and some of the things that she shared is very, very informative. She did one video when she went to, I think she went to the National Archives or something like that, and she found some really good stuff. And I've been in this area all this time, and I have yet to go to the National Archives in DC, not once. And so I need to make an effort to go and see what I can find. But so far, what I've been observing, I'm watching. Let's just put it that way. I'm watching. My thing is, I want to tread softly with certain things. And I also want respect from communities where I'm from. And it's real easy when people don't take you seriously, when you try to debunk what they've been told all their life, right? And so when you try to debunk people, that's all I'm gonna say. But I'm watching. Okay, Sweet says, hi, hey, BIA, and to all watching. Hi, Sweet. You know, you said you typed BIA in another video in the chat, and I was like, BIA? I'm thinking Bureau of Indian Affairs. But that's really the initials of my YouTube channel name. So Black and Indigenous American. So I was like, oh, it makes sense now, BIA. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. So anyway, as far as claiming your nationality, that's something that I'm going to look a bit into a bit more. This Phoenix Moon and this two Hawks, I'll look into that and see where it goes. But like I said, most of the videos I've been seeing, if I just did a quick search in YouTube, claiming your nationality, it's been all about Moors, Moors. And so, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm open to learn new things, that's going to be beneficial. As far as that filing in the land records, I know how to do that. I've drafted deeds and I put them on record and things of that nature. So that in and of itself is not something that I'm not familiar with. However, the articles of, I think the guy said articles of trust or something like that, or put something on record that claims your nationality before 2020 October, it will be ideal, because once you claim whatever nationality, at least it's on record before the real ID is official and it's, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Because like I said, all these people who are descendants of Black Africans or Sub-Saharan Africans, and they were forced to come here, or the islands, the Caribbean or whatever, due to slavery, I would think to me, it should be automatic. It should be an automatic dual citizenship. And even though many of us don't have a paper trail to go back to Africa, right? We don't have a paper trail, but it's heavily documented that many Africans, Black Sub-Saharan Africans, or dark-skinned Sub-Saharan Africans, or however way you want to identify that, they were forced labor. So in my opinion, as far as claiming dual citizenship, I think people who are descendants of forced labor should automatically have a dual citizenship. The question is, which country? Which country? And if you just base it on DNA test results, that snapshot that I keep saying, that snapshot of your genetic makeup, if that's sufficient, not for Indigenous American tribal enrollment and whatever like that. We're not talking about that right now. I'm just saying, as far as dual citizenship with an African country, to me, Guinea-Bissau, that's a big one. Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, Ghana, those are the top three, I think, that many descendants of the diaspora forced labor, those were the top three countries that people were forced to leave, be it kidnapping or whatever. So it makes you think about that whole dual citizenship thing. I mean, there are actually YouTubers that are documenting their experience moving to Africa. Like this one girl, I think she moved to Ghana or whatever, and she's sharing all of her experiences and what she learned about moving to Ghana. And I don't know if she gave up her U.S. citizenship, but she and her intermediate family, her kids or whatever, her husband now lives in Ghana. And then I watched a video not too long ago, and there was, I believe this was either a businessman. I don't know if he was in politics or whatever, but it was about the resources that Africa provides for so many nations worldwide. I'm thinking of diamonds right now. And how if the children of the diaspora, African diaspora, actually relocated to Africa, wherever, somewhere, let's say Ghana, for instance, because I think he's from Ghana, focusing on building our financial empire. And everyone has some kind of gift that they can contribute to their community. And there's a lot of deep pockets that live in this country, born and raised in this country, several generations in this country that descend from Africa. You have Oprahs and, the list goes on. And in so many words, he was pretty much saying, relocate. If you are a descendant of the African diaspora, relocate to a country in Africa and evolve. That's what I'm hearing. And not necessarily be a Wakanda type mindset where you just do well in your country and cut out every other country. But first you need to focus on the well-being of your citizens, of your nation. And then once you're in a position to branch outside of your nation, that's beautiful too, but on our own terms, or on your own terms, on your nation's terms. So whatever precious gems or resources your country has, you are in a position of power. You're not relying on another nation or another race of people to come in and feed you, or to come in and share their faith. You can get a bowl of rice if you pray this way. You can get a slice of bread if you believe this. None of that. And so, anyway, so that was the talk in this particular video. And what I'm gonna do after this video later, and I always say later because I'm not doing it right now, I'm gonna see if I can find that video of that that individual who was pretty much talking about, I think it was between a French official and him being from Ghana, and how he was talking to sub-Saharan Africans as well as African descendants of the African diaspora or whatever. He was pretty much opening up the I guess you can say the conversation, even though it wasn't a dialogue like that, but he was a conversation starter, in my opinion. So apparently people are moving to Africa and all of this stuff, and for the most part, spiritually connecting to Africa and ancestors and things of that nature from Africa. And it makes you think. But at the same time, I am obligated to acknowledge my Indigenous American roots. And so that's where I am. So if I want to do dual citizenship, if it's that easy, right? Have it here and then have it somewhere, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verdean Islands. More so probably Cape Verdean Islands, because there's a stronger connection based on that DNA test that I'm connected to. And as far as tribally, and that's a culture thing. That's the thing. It's a culture thing. And I'm not culturally Fulani. I have connections to them genetically, but I'm not culturally Fulani. So anyway. So I talked about the real ID. Again, I'm just thinking out loud because I'm trying to figure it all out. I talked about claiming your nationality. Thanks again, Bam, for suggesting a few people to kind of look up and see what they have to say about it. I talked about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 14 and 15. In particular, Article 15, where people have the right to belong to a country. And my thing is, yes, I am a U.S. citizen. I'm sure many of you that are watching are U.S. citizens. But we were born here. Many of us were born here. So as far as dual citizenship, again, I'm trying to figure out how easy or difficult that can be between now and October the 1st, 2020. Because at the end of the day, I'm a Virginian, born and raised. That's home. I'm an East Coast Indigenous American woman. So as far as claiming my nationality, if you want to look at it as far as nations within this nation, oh, we can go with that. Oh, I can acknowledge that. The obstacle is the tribal police and the illusional laws that the federal government has set up to keep the numbers down as far as on paper and Indigenous American people. So you have that. So again, with the 2020 census, you can self-identify, but then with the real ID, how does that really work? We shall see. Sweet says, did you go to powwow? I'm thinking I did go to a powwow earlier this year, and to be honest with you, I don't remember where or when, because I really haven't been on the scene in quite a while. However, I'm planning on going to 2 powwows next month. So the first one is going to be Eastern Shore, Maryland, about an hour north of where Harriet Tubman's birthplaces. Let me see. Yeah, she was born in Dorchester County, Maryland, Eastern Shore. And this powwow is about an hour north of that location. Then the other powwow, which I've always bragged about, is not a huge competition-based type powwows. It's a loving, sweet powwow, and it's the Nottoway powwow. So I will be there. More than likely, it's probably going to be both days. Usually I'll go on a Sunday. The past few years I've been going on Sundays. It just works out for me. But yeah, so those are the two powwows I'm going to be going to next month. And then probably I'll be going to a powwow in November because, you know, it's Native American History Month. So there's a ton of things on the schedule to do in the month of November. But to answer your question, Sweet, no, like I said, I think I might have gone to one powwow this entire year. And to be honest with you, I can't remember when or where. Oh, there's a powwow, Indigenous Peoples Powwow, something in Philly in October, and I'm leaning towards going to that. I've been invited a few times over the years and I have yet to go. But I went to Philly for the first time outside of just taking, you know, the Amtrak. Because, you know, if you take the Amtrak train, you pretty much, I mean, you go through Philly, but you don't see anything but the rough side of Philly. So I actually went to Philly in a car to go to a little small meetup. And this was in regards to Tainos. So these are people, the ones that I'm referring to, these are people that I've met maybe a couple of years ago at a powwow in Delaware. And they did some of their traditional dances during a lunch break at a powwow. And I fell in love with it. And so, you know, Indigenous people from Puerto Rico. And these Indigenous folks, they live in Philly and some live in New York City, but they're claiming their Indigenous roots, and they are a dance group. So anyway, I met up with some members of that dance group in Philly, and that was my first time being there in the city, outside of the Amtrak train station. And so I'm thinking, yeah, that wasn't a powwow. That was just us coming together. And one of the leaders of that dance group was talking about some spirituality stuff. And there was no dancing or singing or nothing like that. But that's the only thing I could think of that was kind of sort of related to a powwow, but not quite a powwow. Of course, guys, the Shinnecock powwow is this freaking weekend. And year after year after year, I've been wanting to go. And I just, for whatever reason, getting up there has been psychologically a challenge. And the reason why I said it, because it's not cheap to go to Long Island. I mean, you have toll money. You got to think about that. And then you have to think about where you're going to stay. And a lot of people I know that have gone, they carpooled. Some people camped out at the fair, at the powwow grounds. They made it work. But I'm the type of person, I'm real particular about my accommodations. And I'm very particular regarding how I'm going to get somewhere. I don't like the guessing game, and I don't like, I'm the type of person, I don't like a schedule, and I've said this before, and the people I know that I love dearly, great people, but they can be very all over the place. So they might do things at the last minute, and I don't have the patience for that. But if I were to go solo, it would cost me at least $500. Not to buy anything or have a good time there. That's to get there and accommodations. I thought about taking the train, from DC, Baltimore, or whatever, taking the Amtrak all the way to New York City, then taking a commuter train from New York City to Long Island, where the Powwow Grounds is located. Then I thought, well, maybe I can get an Uber from the train station and stay at one of the hotels that I think it's one of their hotels that they block out rooms where they have a free shuttle that will take you from that motel to the Powwow Grounds. But from what I've researched over the years, they get booked very, very quickly, well in advance. Probably now, because I haven't researched in a while, now it's probably 6 months or more in advance, probably more like a year. And then you're just out of luck. So if you could get a room there and then have the free shuttle, that might work. But a lot of people that I know, they crash at a relative's house because maybe they have people that live in New York City. I'm not staying at somebody's house just because I'm friends, with them, and I don't know these people. So I'm just very particular about that. But yes, the Shinnecock Powwow is this weekend on Long Island. And I know this is like a mecca for so many people. It's like the East Coast gathering nations, right? For many people that's further north, that have a clue and that are welcoming, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's a long answer for you, Sweet. And then Sweet says, I think I know who you are talking about. You talking about the Taino people dance group? Is that who you're referring to, Sweet? Misak says, then that's all you claim. Can you clarify a little bit more, Misak, when you said then that's all you claim? Because I was talking about that like 5-10 minutes ago, and I'm not quite sure exactly which part of that you were referring to. Sweet says, Tavis Sanders, look up his videos. He talks about that. Okay. I've been watching Tavis Sanders. It's been a while since I've watched his videos, so I will take your suggestion, Sweet, and I will see what else he has regarding claiming your nationality or whatever. But again, people that have been kind of in the game for a while, and they've been doing a whole lot of reading and stuff, and they know how to read between the lines and all this and decode things, and they share on YouTube or any other platform that's via the internet, I thank you, because you're saving all of us a lot of time trying to figure this stuff out. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, let me see. Yeah, I think that was it as far as claiming your nationality. Because, I don't know much about that with this whole real ID situation, but I know what I'm going to put on the census, the 2020 census. I know that. Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm definitely thinking about that. Because see, in this country, if you're claiming a nationality within this nation, aka a tribal nation. Let's just use one off the top of my head that I'm thinking about. Let's say Crow, the Crow Nation. Okay. There's a whole lot of red tape that you're going to have to go through to become a citizen of the Crow Nation. Now, and I'm still trying to understand, this as far as nations within this nation, in this whole real ID thing. If you are a member of the, let's say, Crow Nation, a federally recognized community, recognized as a sovereign nation, is that technically considered dual citizenship? Yeah, help me out here. Okay. Sweet says no, good. No good about Africa moving there. What's unfortunate about what we see on the media regarding sub-Saharan Africa is the poverty and the sickness and the suffering. Not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But the past few years, I've made a conscious effort to find more of whatever in sub-Saharan Africa that does not reflect suffering. And I would just Google like weddings and how lavish the weddings are. Sub-Saharan African weddings. Those with deep pockets, of course. This is what you don't see, at least on our end, on this side of the globe. When we've been conditioned, at least when I was coming up, is that Africa it symbolizes struggle. But yet, everybody's not struggling in Africa. Africa is a continent, of course. There's so many different countries in Africa. So let's just say everybody on the continent of Africa is not struggling. There's a lot of power on the continent of Africa. There's a lot of precious stones on the continent of Africa. And so now as an adult, and now that we have more access to platforms besides what we see on, the national news or whatever, because they feed us what they want us to see, right? They spoon feed us or force feed us what they want us to see. So now we have an opportunity, currently we have an opportunity to see what else is there. What else does the beautiful continent of Africa have to offer? What else is there? And of course, I've never been to the continent of Africa. Whenever I do travel outside of the United States, if I'm going to go that way, I definitely want to go to different parts of Africa. Definitely West Africa, maybe South Africa, the Middle Eastern area, like Israel. I definitely want to go to Israel. Definitely. I have this pull to go to Israel. I definitely want to go to Australia. And for years, I couldn't figure out, why do I want to go to Australia? Like, what is it about Australia that I want to go to Australia? I don't get it. I think the reason why I want to go to Australia and other places that why would I want to go? But now I get it. There is a similar connection in, for instance, Australia. There's a similar connection with the Aboriginal people compared to the indigenous population here in the United States. There's an eerie connection. There's an eerie similarity between the people. And I haven't seen the movie yet, but it is on Netflix for you guys who have Netflix. It's called Stolen Generation. I think that's what it's called. Let's see. It's based on this. No, it's called Sapphire, the movie, about this female musical group from the Aboriginal people in Australia, but they traveled to different war zones back in the day, and they would perform R&B music. But they did touch on the stolen generation aspect of Aboriginal people, and was very similar, very similar. Like, according to Wikipedia, let's see. The stolen generation is also known as stolen children, were the children of Australian Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Islanders descent who were removed from their families by the Australian federal and state government agencies and church missions, aka white folks, colonizers, under acts of their respective parliaments. The removals of those referred to as half-caste children were conducted in the period between approximately 1905 and 1967. Although in some places mixed race children were still being taken into the 1970s. Official government estimates are that in certain regions between 1 in 10 and 1 in 3 Indigenous Australian children were forcibly taken from their families and communities between 1910 and 1970. You know what? I just thought about something. And I saw this this quick video. It's only like two or 3 minutes. Let me see. And that way you guys can hear it. And I can also put that in the description box as well as the chat box, because I know a lot of you guys are still in this box, so you can, in this video watching. So you guys can check it out, whenever you want. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and it's called A Look Inside the Heartbreaking Story of Australia's Stolen Generation. Okay, let's see.
Wait, he was in the front yard and somebody just pulled up and took him?
Yeah, policemen or rangers would come, pull up, just grab these half-coloured kids or coloured kids and then chuck them in the truck and then take them.
I'm Paula Froelich. Take a journey with me to explore the unknown and discover the unexpected. This is Abroad. The adventure starts now. Like many countries formed under colonialism, Australia has a pretty horrible track record of mistreating its Indigenous people, the Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders, many of whom have become known as the Stolen Generation. Why do they call it the Stolen Generation?
Because it was a whole generation of kids that was taken from their homes. Basically, you either had to be black or white. You couldn't be brown or in the middle.
So they would consider you in the middle and you would have been
taken.
Not kidding. Up until 1970s, by law, any Indigenous child who looked like he or she had any amount of white ancestry in them could be snatched from their families and forcibly assimilated into white society.
My grandfather, my mom's father, he was part of the Stolen Generation. He was really young, taken out.
How old was he?
Maybe a year old when he was taken.
Oh, wow. So he never knew his real family.
He knew, because when he was taken from the front yard of where they lived.
Wait, what? He was in the front yard and somebody just pulled up and took him?
Yeah, policemen or rangers would come, pull up, just grab these half-colored kids or colored kids and then chuck them in the truck and then take them.
As the little boy was being forced into the back of a truck, his aunt, a young child herself, sacrificed her own freedom so he wouldn't be alone.
When she heard the commotion of him crying and screaming, she ran and voluntarily just jumped on.
Light-skinned children were often adopted by European families, while darker-skinned children, like Deanne's grandfather, were sent to missionary camps.
Most of the missions were based on islands, so
And
they'd send you away, let you grow up there in a mission and learn about, the Catholic side of it and a European way. You'd learn English and then
try to make you forget your family?
Yeah.
You never got to see them? Or
yeah, you never ever got to see them. There was no such thing as visiting hours. He spent the rest of it on the island until he was like 18, 19. When he came off, he knew
18 or 19 years old on basically a prison.
Yeah. On an island.
Just for being born.
Yeah, just for being born light.
To protect their children, some Aboriginal families resorted to extreme measures, using the sap of the milkwood tree.
My great-grandparents painted my grandmother because she was fairly light.
Yeah.
Painted her all black, put the sap on her, hid her in the billabongs, creeks, rivers, and they never found her.
So they did that so that they wouldn't take her and put her into schools?
Yeah, so it was a whole generation that was stolen away.
Oh.
But lucky for the tree and the paint, my grandmother wasn't.
Oh. Wow. Deanne's grandmother dyed her skin until her 20s, and she was one of the lucky ones. It's believed that over 50,000 children were stolen between the 1860s and the 1970s, over 100 years later, when the laws were finally changed. But the ones who were taken have suffered ever since. With no identity, family, or bonds, many now suffer from homelessness, alcoholism, and other issues.
Thank you for sharing your story. That was really powerful and amazing. And your grandparents sound really wonderful and strong. I don't know how my grandparents would have reacted.
Oh, it's good to share.
So, yeah, I went ahead and put the link in the chat box. Later, I'll put it in the description box. Hopefully, you guys heard that. And unfortunately, it was a very familiar story, very familiar experience for many people, Indigenous American here. You had the priests, Catholics, or whatever come in, missionaries come in, and they would take the children from their tribal family or tribal community and take them to missionary schools. The Aboriginals, based on this quick documentary, this clip, they would separate the lighter skinned kids from the darker skinned kids. Both sets of kids were taken. The lighter skinned kids were adopted by white folks and raised in a European mindset society. And the darker skinned kids were not necessarily adopted by white people, but they were sent to missionary school. And I don't know if you heard that one clip where this woman who had lighter skin, she actually would rub some kind of sap or whatever from a tree that's very dark to make her look darker. That way she wouldn't be adopted by a European couple. And so, again, it's called the stolen generation. That's what they've called individuals that had to go through that in Australia. It's sad, it's sickening, and then people suffering generational trauma. It's generational trauma. Substance abuse, homelessness, in some cases, suicidal victims. And it's heartbreaking. Now, back to traveling different places outside of this country. Whenever I do travel internationally, I always wanted to go to Australia. had no clue about the stolen generation until recently, and not necessarily this year, but the past few years. Not saying I have any like genetic connections to Aboriginal people in Australia, but there is a similar experience between that group of people and my ancestors. And so that whole claiming your nationality, real ID, again, that's October the 1st, 2020, the 2020 census, junk DNA. Again, the DNA that doesn't necessarily show up on your regular DNA results, but it's there. The DNA you will have to tap in spiritually. Yeah, it definitely makes you think. And I mean, I can go on and on and on with this video. I should have broke up this video in different, segments. Because again, this video is not about me having expertise on all these topics. This is me searching for information, wanting to know more information about these topics. It is a little over a year before this whole real ID thing is official. To me, again, it acts like Big Brother. Having this ID versus having a chip underneath your skin, I guess we can get used to the fact of carrying a real ID versus us having an implant. And then if you think about a lot of these so-called sci-fi movies, they've been mentally kind of preparing us for the new era or the next era or the next chapter. Of course, we see it as fiction. We see it as fiction, but there's some truth in it. I'm just thinking about this one movie Will Smith is going to be in. He's playing two characters, two different ages, like two different, it's the same person, but then there's a clone, and the clone looks exactly like him when he was in his 20s. That's creepy. And obviously they probably classified it as sci-fi, but is it really sci-fi? Is it really? Then you think about people who have been convicted of whatever, and they keep saying, that wasn't me. I did not do that. That wasn't me. Then I wonder, was that a clone? I mean, it makes you wonder. Again, you see these movies and shows that come out, oh, that's sci-fi, oh, that's not real. Really? I think there's a little bit of truth in every fictional novel, sci-fi, TV show, movie. There's some kind of truth in there. And a lot of people believe that just over the years with just entertainment in general, it's kind of subconsciously preparing us for the new wave or the new way of things. We shall see. We shall see. As far as on a spiritual level, I am evolving spiritually. I hope you all out there, all you guys are doing it as well. Seeking yourself, connecting with the highest divinity, whatever title you want to put on it, seeking knowledge, and applying the knowledge. There's so much information out there that's unseen. And whatever that's not known is labeled as bad, or you shouldn't go in that direction because we don't know what that is. So you better off not tampering over there. But at the same time, what is the scripture for those Christians out there that was brought up in the church or, read a Bible? There's a scripture that says, while I walk through the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. And there's some other scriptures, obviously, about fear and all that, and, fear no evil, whatever. And one thing about Yeshua, there were many scriptures where he says, fear not, fear not, fear not, fear not, fear not. So if your belief system is based on fear, you're kind of backwards, in my opinion. Fear-based doctrine or fear-based whatever. So it's kind of like we have to get out of this fear mentality so we can find ourselves, so we can evolve spiritually, so we can be prepared for this next wave of adaptation. That's the word I'm trying to say. We just need to be spiritually guarded. We need to be spiritually prepared. We need to be connected spiritually, in my opinion, to love, the highest vibration, just so we can walk in victory. And as far as based on law of attraction, which is one of many universal laws, whatever we keep our minds on, whatever we're fixated on, it draws more of that into our reality, right? If you keep thinking about it, it draws us more of that. So if you are connected to a belief system that's based on fear, whatever you're afraid of or you're taught to be afraid of, you're going to experience more of that to validate what you believe because of law of attraction, right? If you believe that, dogs fly, well, eventually you're going to see a dog flying. I mean, I know it kind of sounds silly to some people, but your reality now is what you were fixated on in the past. Whatever your mind was on. Whatever reality that you're experiencing right now is whatever your mind was fixated on in the past. So, again, being fearful of every little thing, every little bump in the night, everything is the unseen. Okay. Just because you've never seen it or you never heard about it, that does not mean it's out to get you. It doesn't. It does not mean that it's out to get you just because it's unknown or it's unseen, it's uncovered, right? So that's where I am right now. And again, with the whole junk DNA or whatever, I think that's going to lead me into another direction to learn more about, because many people want to know where they come from, want to get the tests and everything, but then you got all of that that's uncovered. And that's your secret weapon on a spiritual level. On a spiritual level, that's your secret weapon because it's not revealed on paper. I hope that makes sense, guys, because I'm thinking out loud. This is where I am right now as far as my thought process. But I hope that makes some kind of sense. Marlon P. Peace and blessings, kindred. Oh, Marlon P. says peace and blessings, kindred. Same to you as well. Nothing but peace, joy, and happiness and evolution. Okay. Day Humble says exactly. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm going to receive that as you being in agreement with me, whatever I was talking about at that moment. Sweet says, you are right. Laugh Out Loud is video on YouTube about that. About what, Sweet? About junk DNA? Are you talking about that? Or are you talking about, yeah, tell me what you're talking about, Sweet, if you're still listening and watching. Oh yeah, law of attraction. Oh, there's tons of law of attraction videos. I can't tell you how many hours of YouTube videos I've watched and hours of audio that I've listened to on law of attraction. And I watched The Secret, the documentary, or whatever called The Secret. I watched it like 2 or 3 times. And it really makes sense. And even though that's one of many universal laws, but that in of itself is like, whatever you were fixated on in the past, you are now experiencing in your reality now. Whatever you expect in your future, you need to renew your mind, or whatever you want to call it, now, so that can come to fruition. Okay. Me personally, I'm all about the love, high vibrations, whatever like that. So that in of itself may slow down my manifestation or whatever, because that's the playing field I'm on. But for those who don't want to wait forever for something to come to pass, they will find other avenues to speed it up. And that's them. That's what they want to do. That ain't my path. And I'll wait. I'll wait. Because the highest vibration is love. I have no desire to be destructive or cause destruction or anything like that. Now, I do understand there needs to be chaos before there is growth, right? There needs to be chaos before there is evolution. I understand that. It took me a while because everybody is smiling in your face. That's not helping you grow. Of course, we want to be comfortable. Of course, we want to be around people that make us feel good all the time. But you're not growing. If you are around people in situations that make you feel comfortable 100% of the time, you are not growing. And you may be a wonderful person and did everything according to your truth that was good for society, and that's beautiful. And you moved on to the spirit world and wherever else you're supposed to be outside of this physical realm. Maybe you could have gone further in your spiritual evolution if there was some friction in your life. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying, guys? Like, I think there needs to be a balance. I don't think there should be chaos every day, because then that's how people get strung out on some kind of like substance abuse, or they go insane in the membrane, or they become destructive. So then there needs to be a balance, but I want to grow. I want to spiritually grow. I want to evolve. And if that means I have to walk through a difficult situation, and I don't know why at the moment, like, I don't know why I have to go through this. Oh, why? You know what? It's helping me grow. It's helping me evolve. You know, sometimes you don't know your power. You don't know how strong you are until you're put to the test, right? Some people when they say testimony, they also refer to test, because the word test is in testimony. And you're not going to have a testimony unless you've been tested. And I've been tested. I'm sure plenty of you guys have been tested. And so that's where I am right now. And as far as the law of attraction, I understand whatever I'm going through right now that has been testing me is because that's what I was fixated on mentally and emotionally. And that's what I was feeling. And then it just created itself. And now it has come to pass. And it's testing me. But now that I understand the law of attraction, now I know how to adjust my thinking. So I don't dwell so much on something that does not benefit my highest good, pretty much. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But yeah, so I think that's all I have to say, guys. I mean, it's like almost 8 o'clock. I haven't had dinner. Whenever I have these live videos and it's kind of close to 8 o'clock, I start talking about what I'm going to have for dinner. So why stop now, right? What I'm going to do, I've already made, again, I keep talking about this one brand. It's called No Evil. And I definitely love their sausage. And I'm going to say this real quick and then I'm going to go. So I've already prepared the sausage. It's just a matter of putting it on the pan and allowing it to brown or whatever for about maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So it's already prepared. All I'm going to do now is take some organic tomato sauce, pasta sauce, and I'm going to add the sausage to the sauce. And then I'm going to add cauliflower rice. So it's pretty much cauliflower, but it's shaped like rice. It's grated already. It's frozen or whatever. So it's just a matter of putting all that together. I'm going to add some organic paprika, smoked paprika, which I love. And then I'm going to add some pepper to it and a little bit of olive oil. The olive oil does not go into the saucer until after I'm done getting all of the deliciousness and flavor. Then once I take it off the owl, then I'll put the olive oil in, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. That gives it flavor, and that also gives me whatever goodness the olive oil has as far as nutrition. I've learned a while ago not to cook with olive oil. You can dress your food with olive oil, but don't cook with it, because then it becomes toxic, apparently. And then I'm going to have a smoothie. And in my smoothie, I'm going to have blueberries, strawberries, baby spinach. And then again, I mentioned before, I use hemp powder. The hemp powder in particular I'm using has high fiber and it has protein. So that's like my go-to for extra protein. Not whey protein, none of the other stuff. No, this is hemp. Okay, look it up. And then I have maybe half of a teaspoon of maca. That's M-A-C-A, maca powder in my smoothie. That's good for hormonal things for men and women. It helps balance your hormones, among other things. So I add that in there. And then I don't add anything else but water. I know some people add like almond milk or coconut milk or whatever to their smoothies. I just like it with water. To me, it's almost like a slushy. So once I blend it in my NutriBullet, I've had my NutriBullet for a minute and I love it. And then I top all that off later because I don't like going to bed when I'm really, really hungry. But I will have like a little small snack bar, and I'm thinking of the name of the snack bar, but it's made out of pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, for those who are trying to keep up with their protein intake outside of eating dairy products or animal products. Pumpkin has a very high level of protein, pumpkin seeds. So this bar is like pumpkin seeds, and then it has some other natural ingredients, like I think honey or something like that. But I put like a tablespoon of organic, no palm oil, peanut butter on the top of it. So I have a little bit of crunch, a little bit of peanut butter, and of course the peanut butter has protein in it. And so that in of itself leaves me very satisfied. Very, very little carbs. And you know, the rest is history, right? So guys, thank you so much for being patient. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys got something out of this video. Thanks you guys for suggesting different YouTubers that I can check out regarding this whole claiming your nationality. And hopefully whoever watches this after this live video is done that knows more about the real ID for October 2020, dual citizenship and things of that nature, I'll be very, very, very appreciative if you would leave a comment. Like, subscribe. Apparently you got to hit this bell or whatever you want to call it if you want to get notifications when I post something. But lately I've been just going live streaming without planning. I just go live. So most people don't know I'm about to go live. But you know, if you want to, you can hit the bell so you can get notified whenever I post something. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your feedback. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Until next time, toodles.